The grand meeting hall of the Advanced Council of Species fell silent as the emergency alarms echoed through its crystal walls. The massive display screen at the center of the chamber showed a terrifying sight. Entire star systems were beginning to fade away, their very existence seeming to unravel like old fabric. The council speaker, a tall being with shimmering blue skin, stood at the central podium. His hands trembled as he read the latest reports. "My fellow council members, what we feared has become reality. The quantum decay has spread to over 50 star systems in the past month alone." The assembled representatives of the galaxy's most advanced civilizations watched in horror as another star system disappeared from the display. These were races that had mastered faster-than-light travel thousands of years ago, built artificial planets, and even learned to manipulate time itself. Yet now, they sat helpless as reality itself began to break down. "Our best scientists have failed," announced the technology master, his metallic body reflecting the dim emergency lights. "We've tried quantum stabilizers, reality anchors, and even temporal locks. Nothing works. The decay simply adapts." The room erupted in worried whispers. A representative from the crystal worlds, beings made of living crystal who had existed for millions of years, raised their voice. "We've seen many crises in our time, but nothing like this. The quantum decay is not just destroying matter, it's erasing the very laws of physics that govern our existence." On the massive screen, they watched as reports flooded in from across the galaxy. The quantum decay, as they called it, wasn't just spreading, it was accelerating. Whole civilizations were now evacuating their home systems, becoming refugees in an increasingly shrinking safe zone of space. The medical master, a being of pure energy contained within a special suit, displayed the latest analysis. "The decay is systematic. It's as if something is deliberately unraveling the fabric of our reality. Our most advanced quantum computers can't even process the patterns we're seeing." The council chamber's air grew heavy with despair. These were the most powerful beings in the galaxy, representatives of civilizations that had conquered death, mastered gravity, and bridged dimensions. Yet here they sat, watching helplessly as their universe began to die. "Perhaps," the defense master suggested, his voice echoing through the chamber, "we should consider evacuation to another galaxy. The Andromeda project could be accelerated." The council speaker shook his head. "The latest calculations show we don't have enough time. At the current rate of decay, we have perhaps 3 standard months before the quantum collapse reaches critical mass. No evacuation fleet could be prepared in time." A young aide rushed into the chamber, breaking all protocol. He handed a data crystal to the council speaker, who quickly reviewed its contents. His already blue face turned a shade paler. "Members of the council," he announced, his voice grave, "we've just lost the Centurion Empire. Their entire region of space. It's just gone. 3 trillion lives, just erased from existence." The council chamber erupted in chaos. The Centurions had been among the most technologically advanced species in the galaxy. If they could fall so quickly, the technology master raised his metallic hands, calling for order. "We must face the truth. Our advanced technology, all our incredible achievements, they're useless against this threat. We've tried everything we know, everything we've developed over millions of years of progress." The council speaker looked around the room, at the faces of beings who had never known true defeat, who had always found a way to overcome any challenge. But now, for the first time in the history of the Advanced Council of Species, he saw something new in their eyes. Defeat. "Then it's settled," he said quietly, his voice carrying the weight of a civilization's end. "We must prepare our peoples for the inevitable. If the most advanced races in the galaxy can't stop this—" He paused, looking at the display as another star system winked out of existence. "The end is near." Little did they know, hope would come from the most unexpected place, a small blue planet that most of the galaxy still considered primitive. The council meeting had stretched into its 4th hour when something unexpected happened. A junior delegate, barely 50 years into his service, stood up from the back of the chamber. His simple gray uniform marked him as part of the lesser administrative staff, someone who normally wouldn't dare speak in such an important meeting. "Excuse me," he said, his voice shaking slightly, "but has anyone considered asking the humans?" The chamber fell silent for a moment before erupting in confused murmurs. The council speaker raised his hand for silence, then turned his attention to the young delegate. "The humans, from Earth. They'd barely achieved faster than light travel 20 years ago." "Exactly," the junior delegate continued, gaining confidence. "They're new, different. They don't think like us." The technology master's metallic form shifted in what appeared to be irritation. "Young one, this is not the time for jokes. Earth is a level 3 civilization at best. They still use fossil fuels on parts of their planet." But the junior delegate wasn't backing down. He quickly accessed the central display, his fingers flying over the control panel. "Please, just look at their history of problem solving." The massive screen filled with data about Earth. The junior delegate highlighted several key events from human history. "See here, when humans needed to reach their moon, they did it with technology we would consider primitive. When they faced global computing problems, they created solutions using simple silicon chips that somehow rivaled quantum processors." The medical master floated forward, her energy form pulsing with interest. "I remember studying their medical advances. They made remarkable progress using surprisingly basic tools and materials." "That's my point," the junior delegate said. "Humans have a history of solving complex problems with simple solutions. While we use quantum mechanics to cure diseases, they found ways to do it with modified viruses. While we built space elevators with gravity manipulation, they reached space by essentially sitting on top of controlled explosions." The council speaker stroked his chin thoughtfully. "But this crisis, it's beyond anything they faced. The quantum decay is destroying the fabric of reality itself." "True," the junior delegate agreed. "But look at their pattern of innovation. Humans don't solve problems the way we do. They're unpredictable, creative. They think sideways." The defense master, who had been quiet until now, spoke up. "I've reviewed their military history. Despite their technological limitations, they've shown remarkable adaptability. They often succeed by approaching problems from completely unexpected angles." The massive screen continued displaying human achievements, their rapid progress from first flight to space travel, their unique approaches to mathematics and physics, their ability to find solutions using limited resources. "What do we have to lose?" the junior delegate asked quietly. "We've tried everything else. Our most advanced technologies have failed. Maybe we need something different, something unexpected." The council chamber grew quiet as the members considered this suggestion. The crystal world's representative sparkled thoughtfully. "There is wisdom in this. Our advanced perspective might be blinding us to simpler solutions." The council speaker looked around the chamber, seeing the mix of hope and skepticism on the faces of the galaxy's most powerful beings. After a long moment, he nodded. "Very well. We'll send a delegation to Earth, but we must be careful how we present this. The quantum decay is spreading fast. We can't afford to waste time if this proves fruitless." "I suggest we send them all our data," the technology master said, his metallic form gleaming. "Let them see the full scope of the problem. If they can help, good. If not..." He left the sentence unfinished. As the council began making arrangements for the Earth delegation, the junior delegate sat back down, his heart racing. He had studied humans extensively during his academy years, fascinated by their unusual approaches to problems. Now, he could only hope his faith in them wasn't misplaced. The fate of the galaxy might depend on it. The Earth Science Center buzzed with activity as hundreds of scientists from around the world gathered to examine the alien data. The massive quantum computers, primitive by galactic standards, but still impressive to human eyes, worked overtime to process the information about the spreading decay. In one corner of the facility, Alex sat cross-legged on the floor, surrounded by old-fashioned paper printouts. Unlike most others who were glued to their holographic displays, the young physicist preferred to see the data in its most basic form. Next to him, Marcus, an engineer with 30 years of experience, stood staring at a whiteboard covered in calculations. "Everyone's overthinking this," Alex muttered, arranging the papers in a circle around him. "Look at these patterns. They're familiar somehow." Marcus turned from his whiteboard, rubbing his tired eyes. "Familiar? The most advanced races in the galaxy can't make sense of them. What are you seeing?" Alex held up 2 sheets of paper side by side. "It's like, remember those old particle accelerator experiments we did in college, when the beam would sometimes create unexpected interference patterns?" Marcus walked over and crouched down, his eyes widening as he looked at the papers. "You're right. The quantum decay. It's not random at all. It's following a pattern similar to particle beam scatter." Excitement building, they called up more data on their tablets. The alien representatives watching from the corner of the room exchanged confused looks as the 2 humans began laying more papers on the floor, creating what looked like a messy spiral of information. "The advanced races are using quantum stabilizers," Alex said, pointing to different spots in the pattern. "But what if that's exactly the wrong approach? What if we need to go simpler?" Marcus grabbed a marker and started drawing on a fresh section of whiteboard. "If the decay is behaving like a particle beam, then maybe we don't need to stop it. Maybe we need to redirect it." The alien observers watched in bewilderment as the 2 humans began working with what they considered obsolete tools: markers, papers, and basic computer models. To their surprise, Alex and Marcus weren't using any quantum algorithms or reality manipulation theories. "Look here," Alex said, pulling up a simulation on their basic computer. "If we modify our particle accelerators, not to shoot particles, but to create specific interference patterns." Marcus jumped in, his marker flying across the whiteboard. "We could create a lattice of overlapping fields, not to stop the decay, but to guide it away from critical areas." The alien representatives stepped forward, their translator devices working overtime to keep up with the excited humans. But that's impossible," one said. "Your particle accelerators are far too primitive to affect quantum-level events." Alex looked up from the floor, eyes bright with excitement. "Exactly. That's why it might work. The decay is affecting advanced quantum technology because it operates on the same principle. But our primitive accelerators work differently." Marcus nodded enthusiastically. "It's like trying to cut water with water. It just merges. But if you use a solid object instead." The aliens watched in growing amazement as the 2 humans quickly developed their theory. Within hours, Alex and Marcus had designed a basic test using a modified particle accelerator. They weren't trying to stop the quantum decay. Instead, they planned to essentially create a channel for it to flow through, like a river between banks. "It's so simple," one of the alien observers whispered. "We were trying to fight the decay with advanced quantum technology, but that only made it stronger. They're proposing to use basic particle physics to guide it instead." As word of their theory spread through the facility, more scientists gathered around. The aliens transmitted the data back to the council, where the most advanced races in the galaxy found themselves stunned by the elegance of the primitive solution. Sometimes it seemed the simplest answer was the best one. Now they just had to hope it would work in practice as well as it did in theory. The fate of the galaxy rested on humanity's primitive approach. The largest particle accelerator complex on Earth had never been so busy. Hundreds of engineers and technicians worked around the clock, modifying the massive circular tunnel according to Alex and Marcus's designs. The alien representatives watched with a mixture of worry and hope as humans used what they considered outdated tools and technology. "Are you sure this will work?" the council speaker asked, his holographic form hovering near the control room. "These machines seem basic." Marcus looked up from his control panel, dark circles under his eyes from days without proper sleep. "Sometimes basic is better. We're not trying to fight the quantum decay anymore. We're trying to guide it." Around the world, Other accelerator facilities were being modified in similar ways. The aliens had provided faster-than-light communication technology, allowing all the teams to coordinate their efforts in real time. It was a strange sight, human equipment being linked by advanced alien tech, creating a network that had never existed before. First test starting in 5 minutes. Alex announced over the facility's speakers. The young physicist had barely left the control room in days, surviving on coffee and determination. Everyone to their stations. The massive accelerator hummed to life, but instead of accelerating particles as it was designed to do, it now generated a complex pattern of interference fields. The aliens' instruments showed something they had never seen before. A lattice of simple particle physics effects creating a framework that the quantum decay might follow. Energy levels stable. A technician called out. Field pattern holding steady. Marcus watched the readings carefully. Now comes the hard part. We need to introduce a small amount of the quantum decay to see if our theory works. The aliens had brought a carefully contained sample of the decay, held in their most advanced containment field. Even this tiny amount could potentially destroy the whole facility if something went wrong. The room grew tense as they prepared to release it into the accelerator's modified field. Ready? Alex asked, looking at Marcus. The older engineer nodded. As ready as we'll ever be. Beginning containment release in 3, 2, 1. The quantum decay was invisible to human eyes, but the aliens could see it clearly. As soon as it was released, it began to spread. But something was different. Instead of expanding in all directions as it had before, it followed the path created by the accelerator's interference pattern. It's working. Alex shouted, pointing at the readings. The decay is following our channel. The aliens rushed to verify the data with their own instruments. What they saw amazed them. The humans' primitive particle physics was actually controlling the decay that had defeated their most advanced quantum technology. Field stability at 98%, a technician reported. Decay containment holding steady. Marcus allowed himself a small smile. Now for Phase 2. Beginning field modulation. The accelerator's energy pattern shifted slightly, and to everyone's amazement, the quantum decay shifted with it. They weren't just containing it, they could actually control where it went. This is impossible, one of the alien scientists whispered. They're controlling it with technology that should be far too primitive to affect quantum-level events. Alex shook his head, still watching the readings. Not impossible. We just stopped trying to match its complexity. Sometimes the simplest solution is the best one. The test continued for several hours, each minute proving more definitively that the human solution worked. Around the world, other facilities reported similar successes. The network of modified accelerators could create a grid to guide the decay away from populated areas of space. The council speaker's hologram seemed to stand straighter. How quickly can this be scaled up? The decay is still spreading across the galaxy. Marcus looked at the successful test readings, then at the tired but determined faces of his team. With the right resources and coordination with other facilities, we could have a full-scale defense network ready in weeks. For the first time since the crisis began, hope filled the room. Humanity's primitive solution was working. Now they just had to implement it on a galactic scale. And fast. The race against time had begun. The next few weeks transformed Earth into the center of the galaxy's largest engineering project ever attempted. Spaceports around the world buzzed with activity as alien ships delivered materials and technology. Humans worked alongside alien engineers, combining advanced galactic technology with Earth's primitive particle accelerator designs. Another facility ready in India announced a coordinator at the Global Command Center. Screens showed similar projects nearing completion in Europe, Asia, the Americas, and Africa. Every major particle accelerator on Earth was being modified to become part of the quantum decay defense network. Alex stood at the main control station, coordinating with teams worldwide. Remember, we're not just building individual stations. These facilities need to work together as one unified network. The aliens had provided faster-than-light communication systems that connected all the facilities instantaneously. Marcus supervised the integration of this advanced tech with Earth's simpler systems, making sure they worked in harmony. Australian facility reporting successful test. Another light turned green on the global map. That makes 27 facilities ready for full power. The council speaker's hologram appeared in the command center, watching the proceedings with growing optimism. Other worlds are implementing your design as well. The Centauri colonies have already built 3 facilities. Reports came in from across the galaxy. Worlds that had been preparing for evacuation were now building their own particle accelerator networks. The aliens' advanced manufacturing capabilities meant they could construct in days what had taken Earth years to build. First galactic scale test beginning in 10 minutes, Marcus announced. All facilities prepare for power-up sequence. The command center grew quiet as hundreds of facilities across Earth and dozens of alien worlds prepared to activate simultaneously. They would create a vast network of interference patterns designed to guide and control the quantum decay. Remember, Alex said into the global communication system, we're not trying to stop it. We're creating paths for it to follow, like building banks for a river instead of trying to stop the water. The countdown began. Around the world, modified particle accelerators hummed to life. Their combined energy would create a pattern large enough to affect the quantum decay on a galactic scale. Power-up sequence initiated, Marcus called out. All facilities reporting nominal levels. On the main screen, a map of the galaxy showed the spread of the quantum decay in red, while blue points marked each facility joining the network. As more stations powered up, lines of force began to appear, creating a vast web of interference patterns. First contact with quantum decay in Sector 7. Someone shouted. All eyes turned to the monitors. Just as in the smaller tests, the decay began to follow the paths they had created. Instead of spreading randomly and destroying everything in its path, it now flowed through the channels created by their network. It's working, Alex exclaimed, watching as the red areas of decay slowly began to follow their prescribed paths. All facilities maintain current output. We're actually controlling it. The alien observers watched in amazement as humanity's simple solution proved effective on a galactic scale. Their most advanced quantum technology had failed, yet these simplified particle accelerators were succeeding. Decay flow stable in all sectors, Marcus reported. Beginning Phase 2, redirecting it away from populated systems. Slowly, carefully, they adjusted the interference patterns. Like a cosmic game of chess, they moved the quantum decay away from inhabited worlds and toward empty regions of space where it could safely dissipate. The council speaker's hologram showed what might have been a smile. You've done it. You've actually done it. With technology we considered primitive, you've solved a crisis that defeated our most advanced civilizations. Alex shook his head, still focused on the controls. We didn't defeat it. We just worked with it. Sometimes the simplest answer is the right one. Around the galaxy, billions of beings watched as humanity's solution turned the tide. The end no longer seemed near. Instead, a new era of cooperation between humans and aliens was just beginning. And it all started because humans dared to think differently. 1 month after the successful implementation of the Quantum Decay Control Network, the Advanced Council of Species held a special session. The Grand Chamber, which had once echoed with voices of despair, now buzzed with excitement and curiosity. At the center of attention stood Alex and Marcus, invited to explain humanity's approach to problem-solving. What we'd like to understand, the council speaker began, is how you saw a solution that our greatest minds missed. Our technology is thousands of years ahead of Earth's, yet you succeeded where we failed. Marcus stepped forward, holding up a simple glass of water. Sometimes being too advanced can be a disadvantage. Look at this glass. If I want to separate the water, I could use a complex machine, or I could just pour it into 2 glasses. Alex nodded, continuing the explanation. When we looked at your quantum technology, we saw something interesting. You'd advanced so far that you've forgotten some basic principles. You were trying to fight complexity with complexity. The technology master's metallic form shifted thoughtfully. But your particle accelerators, they're so primitive compared to our quantum field generators. Exactly, Alex said, growing animated. That's why they worked. The quantum decay was affecting advanced systems because they operated on similar principles. But our primitive technology worked on completely different rules. Around the chamber, the most advanced beings in the galaxy listened intently as the two humans explained their perspective. The crystal world's representative sparkled with understanding. It's like trying to see your own reflection in moving water, they said. The more you disturb the water, the harder it becomes to see. But if you just let the water settle. Marcus smiled. Exactly. You were all trying to fight the decay directly. We just created a simple path for it to follow instead. The medical master floated forward, her energy form pulsing with curiosity. This makes me think about our own development. Perhaps in advancing so quickly, we've become over-specialized. There's nothing wrong with advanced technology, Alex assured them. But sometimes you need to step back and look at problems from a simpler angle. Humans are good at that because we're still learning, still trying different approaches. The defense master spoke up from his position. I've been studying Earth's history. Your species has a remarkable ability to find unexpected solutions. You turned falling water into electricity, split atoms for power, and reached space using controlled explosions. We call it thinking outside the box, Marcus explained. When you're limited in resources and technology, you have to get creative. The council chamber filled with discussion as the galaxy's most advanced races considered this perspective. They had spent thousands of years advancing their technology, always seeking more complex and sophisticated solutions. The idea that simplicity could be powerful was revolutionary to them. Perhaps, the council speaker suggested, we should establish a permanent exchange of ideas with Earth, not just to teach humans about advanced technology, but to learn from their problem-solving approaches. The junior delegate who had first suggested contacting Earth stepped forward. We could create a new division within the council, one focused on finding simple solutions to complex problems. Alex and Marcus exchanged glances. The idea that humanity's primitive approach could help guide the galaxy's most advanced civilizations was both humbling and exciting. We would be honored, Alex said. But remember, it's not about choosing between simple and advanced solutions. It's about finding the right tool for each problem. The council chamber erupted in agreement. A new era was beginning, one where the galaxy's most advanced races would learn to balance their incredible technology with simpler, more fundamental approaches. Sometimes, the most powerful solutions came not from advancing forward, but from remembering the basics. Humanity's greatest strength wasn't their technology. It was their ability to see problems with fresh eyes. And that was a gift worth sharing with the galaxy. 6 months after the quantum decay crisis, Earth had changed dramatically. Gleaming spires of alien architecture now stood alongside human buildings, while spacecraft from across the galaxy regularly visited the once isolated planet. But the biggest changes weren't visible to the eye. They were in how the galaxy now viewed humanity. In the newly established Galactic Problem-Solving Center, Alex led a team of humans and aliens working together on various challenges. The massive facility, built in what was once a desert, combined Earth's particle accelerator technology with advanced alien systems. Another success from the Australian team, Alex announced to the gathered researchers. They've adapted our decay guidance technique to help stabilize unstable stars. 3 at-risk solar systems have already been saved. Marcus, now heading the engineering division, pulled up a holographic display showing their latest project. And the European facility has found a way to use simple mechanical principles to improve quantum transportation. Travel efficiency is up by 40%. The council speaker, visiting Earth for a special ceremony, watched these presentations with obvious pleasure. What had started as a desperate gamble had turned into one of the most successful cooperation projects in galactic history. "To think," he said to the assembled crowd, "6 months ago, we considered Earth a primitive world barely worth noting. Now, your approaches are revolutionizing fields we thought we had mastered centuries ago." Around the world, similar centers had sprung up. Humans worked alongside alien scientists, combining Earth's primitive but creative solutions with advanced galactic technology. The quantum decay network, still operating perfectly, had become just the first of many successful projects. "The lunar facility is ready for its first test," a young scientist reported excitedly. "They're using modified particle accelerator principles to create new types of materials, things even the advanced races never thought possible." The changes weren't just technological. Earth's position in galactic politics had shifted dramatically. From being barely noticed, humans were now sought after as advisors and problem solvers. Their ability to find simple solutions to complex problems had become legendary. "We've received requests from 12 more worlds," Marcus told the council speaker. "They all want to establish similar research centers. The combination of human creativity and alien technology is proving more powerful than either alone." In the facility's main hall, a massive display showed the current state of the quantum decay. The red zones that had once threatened to destroy the galaxy were now contained in controlled channels, safely dissipating in empty regions of space. It stood as a constant reminder of what could be achieved when different approaches worked together. "You know what the best part is?" Alex said, looking at the display. "We're learning as much from the aliens as they're learning from us. It's not about who's more advanced, it's about combining perspectives." The council speaker nodded in agreement. "That's why we've elevated Earth to a senior position in the Galactic Council. Your world has taught us that true advancement isn't just about technology. It's about keeping our minds open to all possibilities." As the day's presentations concluded, Marcus stood at a window, watching human and alien ships moving through the evening sky. "Remember when they first arrived?" he asked Alex. "Everyone thought it was the end." Alex smiled, remembering those tense days. "Instead, it was just the beginning. We showed the galaxy that being less advanced technologically doesn't mean being less capable." The council speaker joined them at the window. "Perhaps that's the greatest lesson in all of this. The end seemed near, until humans stepped in, not because you had the most advanced technology, but because you dared to think differently." Outside, the sun set on a changed Earth. Humanity had not only helped save the galaxy, but had also found its place among the stars. They had proved that sometimes the best solutions come not from the most advanced technology, but from the simplest insights. And that was a lesson the galaxy would never forget.